Welcome to the Iowa Department of Public Health. We have Dr. Patricia Quinlisk with us. She is the state epidemiologist and Iowa medical director, and we've had a lot of flu activity in Iowa over the past month or two, and so we'll take your questions while Patty's talking here. But first of all, Dr. Quinlisk, can you give us sort of an overview of what the flu is looking like right now?
Well, in the past couple of weeks, we have really seen an increase in just about everything that we monitor. The number of people being hospitalized, unfortunately, the number of deaths, the number of people seeking care in clinics, and just the number of people getting lab tests that are positive for the flu. Everything's gone up, and unfortunately, that also means that we're having outbreaks all over the place. Basically, last week we had, I believe it was somewhere close to 50 outbreaks in schools and long-term cares around the state.
If you have a question for Dr. Quinlisk, you can type it in and we'll pass that along to her. I did get one prior to the broadcast. The question is, if you get the flu shot with the current strains covered in the vaccine, why have a ton of people gotten influenza A around our area, especially in the schools? Shouldn't it be like any other vaccine? That's from Marie and Spencer.
Well, that's actually a really good question, and I wish it was like any other vaccine. I mean, we look at vaccines like the measles vaccine. Once you get it, or at least get 2 doses, you're probably never going to get measles in your whole life. Well, the answer is the flu vaccine just isn't a very good vaccine. You probably can tell that in that we have to get a new vaccine every year. But also, even once you get the vaccine, it just doesn't give us the kind of immunity that I would really like. I mean, I'd love a vaccine that stops you from having every sniffle you might have from the flu. But the flu vaccine was really meant to do 2 things: to stop people from dying of the flu and stop people from having to be hospitalized from the flu. It does not stop all symptoms of the flu. And also, the people at highest risk for getting the flu are also the people who are not going to respond to the flu vaccine as well. So grandma who's got diabetes and heart disease and lives in a long-term care facility may actually only be protected about 50% of the time with the flu vaccine. Now that's better than no protection, but it's still not what we'd want. We'd want 100%. If you're a young adult and you've got a good, strong immune system, you probably get a 70 or 80% chance of not getting the flu if you got the flu vaccine. But that still gives you a 10 or 20% chance of getting the flu if your coworker coughs in your face. So the answer is the flu vaccine is good. It will protect most of us from getting really sick and being hospitalized and dying, but it's not a perfect vaccine. And yes, people can still get the flu if they've had the flu shot. Hopefully they just won't be as sick.
You mentioned about people coming to work sick, coughing and sneezing on you. And earlier this week or late last week, we posted something on Facebook about stay home if you're sick and keep your kids home if they're sick. And while I think everybody supports that notion, some people said, well, my work doesn't allow me that, or I'm worried I'll get fired. What's a good way to deal with that kind of situation?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, we want people to stay home from school or work for 2 reasons. One, of course, so they don't spread it to other people, but also they will get better faster if they just give their body the chance to recover. So staying home and drinking water and having that chicken soup and just laying around actually will let your body repair itself faster and you'll get well faster. But I agree. It's sometimes hard, and it's sometimes hard when you first say wake up in the morning and you have some symptoms and you don't know if it's a bad cold or, gee, you're coming down with the flu. So it can be difficult. I would just tell you, if you have a high fever, if you feel really bad, or if they say you cannot keep up with fluids, you've got so much coughing and hacking, maybe some diarrhea and vomiting that you just can't keep your fluid down, those are all reasons not only to stay home, but to call your healthcare provider. And the reason I say that is because if you call your healthcare provider within about 24 to 48 hours of starting having symptoms of the flu, there's a possibility you could get started on antiviral medications, which is going to make you feel better faster. That's especially important for people who have high-risk conditions like heart disease, lung disease, diabetes, etc. They need to start on those antivirals quickly to make sure that they don't end up in the hospital. But it is hard to know when it's time to stay home or not, and that's why some of these other things that we recommend to people become really important. So say you're not sure you've got the flu or not, so you're going to go to work anyway. Okay, but now you're coughing a bit, you're sneezing a bit. and all your coworkers are looking at your strange thinking, I don't want to get what that guy's got. Well, there's still a couple things you can do to protect those people. One of the biggest ones is, geez, cough into your elbow or sneeze into your elbow. Don't just sneeze out there into the air, because that means anybody within about 3 to 6 feet of you is going to be exposed to whatever it is you've got, whether it be the flu or a cold. The other thing to do is, people sometimes cough into their hands, things like that, but keep your hands clean. Go wash them with soap and water, or if you can't, say, get out of that meeting and go wash your hands, get a little bit of that hand gel on you and get that on your hands, so that if you have a virus from the flu on your hands, you're going to kill it. So there's some things you can do even if you're at work and you're not sure what you've got. But again, if you're sick, please stay home for our sakes as well as yours.
We're live right now with Dr. Patricia Quinlisk, the State Medical Director and the Iowa Department of Public Health State Epidemiologist. And flu vaccine, we push it every year. Is it too late to get one now?
It isn't. Now, to be totally protected, we really like people to get the flu vaccine before the flu season ever starts. So that usually is September, October, maybe even November. But if you haven't gotten it yet, go ahead and get it. We haven't gotten to our peak of the flu season, so we're not even halfway through our flu season yet. So if you go get it today, you'll actually start getting some protection tomorrow and more the next day, and within about a week to 2 weeks, you'll have as much protection as you're going to get. And so that will probably cover you for about half of the flu season. So I would bet we're going to have flu in our communities until April, maybe even into May.
I've got the flu when they're throwing up or they have diarrhea. Mm-hmm. And exactly what are the symptoms of influenza, and what is it when you have those other symptoms?
Well, typically the flu will give you what we call respiratory symptoms. That would be things like coughing, sneezing, runny nose. You can get a fever, you can get aches and pains, and just feel lousy. That's the flu. We also have another virus going around Iowa right now causing outbreaks, and that's called norovirus. And you may have heard about this in the news. That's the one that makes those cruise ships turn around and go back to shore. That's the one that causes diarrhea and vomiting. Usually it doesn't cause you to cough or sneeze, and usually it doesn't even give you a fever. But you're not going to be wanting to get very far from your bathroom for several days, unfortunately. But those are two distinct diseases, and unfortunately that flu shot won't protect you from getting norovirus.
And there isn't a vaccine for norovirus.
No, there really isn't. So again, the best thing to do to prevent norovirus is, if you have diarrhea and vomiting, stay home, don't touch anybody else's food because you can spread it that way, and wash your hands. Now, one of the things that's different here is that the norovirus, when it's on your hand, those hand gels don't kill it. They can survive that hand gel just fine. So you really have to go and wash your hands with soap and water when you have diarrhea and vomiting.
All right. Anything else you want to add?
Nope. Just glad to be here today, and let Polly know if you have any other questions and things, and we can do this again.
Yeah. Join us on our Facebook page. You can type your questions in, or on Twitter as well. And thanks for joining us. We've been with Dr. Patricia Quinlisk. She is the State Epidemiologist and Medical Director for the Iowa Department of Public Health. Have a good day and stay well.